Okay, now we're good.
Okay. So I'm Susie Trepanier.
And I'm Shay Munns.
All right, so this is the debate hangout, and we're each supposed to start with an opening statement. So the humanist is supposed to start first. So Shay, do you want to give your opening statement, and then I'll give mine?
Okay, I'm trying to pull up my discussion board too, because I exited that. Okay, so this is, well, it was really kind of confusing, this article to me, but I'll try to do my best.
Okay.
So, like, are we answering those questions, or what are we kind of doing, I guess?
Well, so there was instructions on how to do the debate, and the first thing is that each of us gives an opening statement, and then after that opening statement, then we each pose questions to the other person to kind of discredit maybe their argument. Oh, actually, no. So the first thing is our opening statement, and then we go into our arguments. And I just came up with 3 arguments for my position of the right to exercise religion and the right to have religious debate in the public square. So I kind of went off of that. And then after we give our arguments, we each give our arguments, then I give a rebuttal. So you would give your arguments, and I would tell you why I think your arguments are not credible. If that makes sense. And then after that, we each give our closing arguments. So if you want me to give my opening argument first, then I can do that, and then you can kind of see.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. So in the directions it said that the humanist was always supposed to go first. So the humanist gives their opening, then I give my opening, and then you give your arguments, and then I give my arguments, and then we rebut each other's arguments, and then we give our closing arguments.
Okay. So with this humanist manifesto, the way that things should work is that we should not be focused on believing in things that are far-stretched and have wishful thinking. Instead, we should focus on our needs and focus on meeting those needs. So that's how we should do things in this world today, especially as society is changing. The needs are what we need, and not so much of the wishful thinking.
Okay. So the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America prohibits the free exercise of religion. The foundation is the establishment of this country is the guaranteed free exercise of religion continent in an effort to flee the oppression of the government because of their religious practices. So our national law actually formally declares, quote, the right to freedom of religion undergirds the very origin and existence of the United States. Another great fundamental of our nation is that the people are the source of government power, and connected to this is the Christian principles of human worth and dignity. These principles were taught by Jesus Christ, that every man is created equal. His teachings also of the worth of human souls are interwoven into the first and abiding laws of this great nation. The rights and responsibilities of each citizen of this country define the Constitution as clearly stated in the preamble, which states, "We the people of the United States of America do ordain and establish this Constitution." Religious rights are under fire in our nation today. Arguments that are based in religious principles are ridiculed in an effort to silence them. As secularism gains popularity, efforts to silence religious opinions are also limiting the rights of free speech. To quote Richard John Niehaus, quote, "In a democracy that is free and robust, an opinion is no more disqualified for being religious than for being atheistic or psychoanalytic or Marxist or just plain dumb." So in that quote, it's clear that each of us has a right to our opinions, and we have a right to express those opinions in free speech, even if those opinions derive from religious principles.
So I feel like ours are like different. Like I feel like mine's like a religion that we should all kind of go on, and yours is more, well, yours is religion too, right? But
yeah, your humanistic religion is basically an atheistic religion, so it's a belief that there is no God, and that religions are archaic, and that they are not a modern way of thinking, and they should be eliminated from our government. Religion should be eliminated because we have evolved to be more humanistic in just believing in our own nature and our own understanding individually of right and wrong, and having our own conscience.
Maybe that's why it was so hard for me to grasp this one, because I couldn't be atheist. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I can see how trying to organize a debate around just those two articles was really hard, because you had to like glean where there was the difference, where the humanistic approach was going against freedom of religion. And so it was really hard, because I read your article too, and as I read the creed, I had to really like try and figure out, okay, where is this?
Where's it going?
Where's it going? And what point are they trying to make? And is this really anti-religion or not? You know, so anyway, yeah, trying to devise a debate around just those two articles it was kind of hard. So I was just like making assumptions about what you might bring up, and so that's where I formed my argument. So anyway.
Oh, you're good, because I didn't even make assumptions about yours. Okay, so the three points, or just points of an argument?
Points of an argument, yeah.
Okay, so the universe is self-existing, so there shouldn't be a reason to believe in a God that's not there, that supposedly created the world, but the world, science has said it's self-existing, and it wasn't created by some magical being, so there shouldn't be a belief in something that's not there. Also, a man is a part of nature, and so we need to follow just our nature of things instead of what a God would tell us. We need to reject the mind and the body, and just focus on what we need for our nature and making it through. And then this is kind of hard to pull this. I feel so bad saying, like, I don't believe this. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I'm just going to go with that for now. I'll probably think of things.
Okay. Well, I respect your belief system that the universe is just here, and that it wasn't necessarily created by a higher power. I respect your belief in that, and I also respect your ability to be able to express that and to talk about that. And I believe that in our society, the system of belief that that there is no God, it is prevalent and is there. However, there's also belief systems that believe in a God, believe in a higher power, believe that this earth was created by a divine being whom we honor and we worship. And as legitimate as you may believe that your feelings are and beliefs are, so is the legitimacy of the beliefs of millions of Christians all over the world. And much of our morals and much of the virtues that we esteem and that we strive to have in our lives are based in religious doctrine that we have come to believe as we have practiced these virtues and found them to be effective in our lives and to be true for us. We also feel that societies and communities benefit from these morals, which as I read the humanistic religion, many of these morals and virtues are also believed and supported by your creeds. And so we're very much on the same page when it comes to morality and to virtuous living and how we treat our fellow men. However, like I stated before, just as valid as your belief systems are, so are those who belong to a Christian belief system. And because our country was founded on Christian belief systems, it's very much interlinked with the politics in the fabric of our nation, and that we must be careful that if religious voices are squelched, we will actually jeopardize the overall freedoms that all of us enjoy. And that is the concern that those who are religious and whose values are come from religious doctrines are concerned that our voices are not being heard and are trying to be silenced. And if that happens, then much of the freedoms we enjoy are in jeopardy. Okay, now it's your turn for rebuttal.
Against you, okay. So, how is it that you can believe in something that's not seen and that's not there? How can you want to answer to a God and believe in a God if there's no proof that he's there, and that there's no way that he can exist? And then, where'd it go, dang it? When really in order for humanity to survive, we don't need religion. We need to extend the uses of the scientific method, and in order to put compassion, in order to build constructive social and moral values. So we need to use the scientific method more and not rely on something that can't be seen, because science can be seen.
Okay, so to answer the two questions or arguments that you're proposing are the first, that it's unreasonable to believe in something that we can't see, and then the second would be that what you're saying is if we feel like we can attribute all of our goodness to something else, like God or religion, then that has less value than someone who acts out of goodness because of who they are, rather than because they're trying to answer to a higher power. If that's not, if I'm understanding you right. For one, I don't really think those are the questions that we should be asking, but I will try to answer them coming from a religious background. And the way that I would explain our belief in God is kind of like when a person, when you or maybe someone else that you've listened to has had some kind of an instinct or a gut feeling. We hear that a lot. That is something that is real. People, it has been actually studied in science that we all have a sixth sense that has been shown with women who are about to be violated or who are in danger, or people who are in danger. They have a sense right before it happens that something's going to happen without actually seeing anything. It's just kind of a sixth sense. And so I would compare my belief in God to that, but magnified by like 1,000,000, because I have the gut feeling, I have a sixth sense, I have an absolute knowledge that I have a Heavenly Father that cares about me and that knows me and who lives. So that is just to answer your question as best I can, coming from a religious background, but also to show that science does talk about this sixth sense that we have. And as far as people acting out of just sheer goodness rather than because they have to answer to God, religions, they teach that people have their agency, that people do have their own ability to act out of what is good and what feels right. And so that is something that we agree on. We agree that each person has that ability to act out of a moral compass that is part of who we are. However, to add to that, religions believe that we should also be doing things that strengthen that moral compass. And actually exercising our religion helps us to build that moral compass. And it's something that is encouraged and strengthened, and not completely because we have fear of punishment or fear of God. We do it out of a love for people.
So not everybody follows the traditional moral codes, and really the traditional morals are they're not meeting the needs of us today and tomorrow. They're just there. So what can we, so how does following a traditional moral sense, how does it work? Because right now it's not meeting our needs.
Well, I would state that that's a personal opinion and not necessarily shown by any kind of evidence-based studies. However, I think the question needs to be on whether religious views and beliefs should be allowed in the public discourse and in policy making. And I think that as much as and as valid as any other belief system is given the opportunity to share their opinions and have free speech, when it comes to the public forum, so does religion. So I think that is the question. It's not, debating whether or not there is a God or whether or not we act out of an inner moral compass, or whether we treat others with kindness and with love because we fear God. That's not the argument. The argument is whether all of these things should be allowed in public discourse.
Which I don't think it should be allowed, because it is right now, and there's things that are going wrong. Nothing's working. So it shouldn't be there. We should just be able to make laws and policies without the religion.
So when you say nothing's working, can you give me an example of what's not working?
Well, all it is creating a whole bunch of arguments and disputes about things, because there's people that want abortion, but then there's people that don't want abortion, and there's and by making that a law, it's going to go against some religions, but not against others. And same with same-sex marriage. Some people are in favor of it, and some people aren't in favor of it because of religion. But if religion wasn't a part of it, then policymakers and lawmakers would have a lot easier time pleasing the people, because it wouldn't have a religion to say, no, that's not right. Yes, it is right.
Well, I think the beauty of our country is that it's pluralistic and that we have lots of different opinions about all of these things. And to shut down and squelch one opinion basically just denies the rights of that particular group of people. And so we have to embrace the fact that we all have differences of opinion, and that we have to work through these things and come to some compromises. That's what the entire system of our government was built on. It was built on slowing down the process of lawmaking in order to force people to really think things through and to make sure that the opinions of everybody in our nation were considered. This is a land of the people. It is not government run, and the voices of the people are what's the most important thing when it comes to our government. I do want to ask you about some of your creeds. One of your creeds is that you believe in the equitable distribution of the means of life. And when I read this, my first thought was that it sounds a lot like communism, which is in total opposition to democracy. So how do you justify this idea that there needs to be an equal distribution of goods to everyone, whether they are working or not?
Well, a big thing is that we want everybody to have the same equal opportunities and be able to have the same amount of things that other people have. It would definitely stop a lot of arguments within just between different people, because they wouldn't be fighting over, someone would be jealous or of another, and so we just need to be able to be equal across the board.
Well, that's a nice philosophy, and I would love to see everyone be thriving equally. However, once you try to put that into government or policy, then it no longer becomes equal, because you have leaders of government who are enforcing something upon the people, which is the opposite of democracy, where we, the people, need to decide about how we're going to help others and how we're able to share the wealth. And so as long as it is something that comes from each person's own individual decision, then I think I'm all for that. But as long as it doesn't creep into policies or or governments able to enforce laws that make people give to one another. That doesn't work. That's just called communism.
No, people.
Oh, go ahead.
People still have their free agency for things. So it wouldn't be that we'd have communism. We wouldn't be controlled.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because with one of your creeds, it sounded like that's what you were suggesting. Okay, and then the next thing I wanted to bring up was at the very end of the different goals or philosophies that the humanist religion has. You talked about 3 of the main ones, and one is to affirm life. And I wanted to know how you believe that this is different than what Christians believe, and what is your view on abortion if this is one of your main goals, to affirm life?
Well, to affirm life, we want to create life. And so abortion would not be encouraged, but it wouldn't be forced. You would have a choice to abort a baby or not, but we would definitely not want you to, because we want to give the life to people. I mean, to everybody, that everybody has that equal possibility of living a life. So we definitely wouldn't encourage abortion.
Okay. And then the second goal that you have is to seek to elicit the possibilities of life and not flee it. And I don't know what the difference is between the Christian belief of promoting self-improvement and efforts to become better people, and your goal to elicit the possibilities of life. I don't believe that religious people flee that. I think that religious people, on the other hand, strive to improve themselves. And in fact, most of the universities in the United States of America were originally created by religious organizations to meet that goal and that principle of self-improvement.
So, if I understand your question correctly, we do have some things in common with some Christians, but the thing that's different is that we shouldn't be promoting or we shouldn't be trying to make ourselves better for this God that doesn't exist. We should try to make ourselves better for ourselves instead of trying to focus on focusing on, well, this is what a God would want me to do. It should be what you want for yourself, if I understood your question correctly.
Okay, yeah, I think you did. So you just feel like the motivation behind it is different, even if the result is the same. And then the third one is to endeavor to establish the conditions of satisfactory life for all. And again, I just wanted to point out that this is also a Christian creed. It's a belief that charity is the overriding law of Christianity, and that is to help others and to serve others, and also to give evidence of that. The largest percentage of hospitals in our country were also initially developed by religious organizations in an effort to pain and to help others in their lives, and that's part of Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, we think it's great to help others and to help them get through hard times or with their pain. It's just that we should be doing that just out of a good of our hearts and not because a God would want us to do that. Um, so we do have some things in common with Christianity, but the reason why we do it is different.
Okay. So now it's time for closing arguments.
Okay. My turn, or I go first, or you?
You always go first.
Okay. So, in closing, the world cannot wait for recollection of competing political or economic systems to solve its problems. These are the times for men and women of goodwill to further the building of peace and prosperous world. Um, we urge recognition of the common humanity of all people. We further urge the use of reason and compassion to produce the kind of world we want, a world in which peace, prosperity, freedom, and happiness are widely shared. Let us not abandon the vision in despair or cowardice. We are responsible for what we are or will be. Let us work together for a humane world um, can commensurate with humane ends. Destructive ideology differences among communism, capitalism, socialism, conservatism, liberalism, and radicalism should be overcome. Let us call for an end to terror and hatred. We will survive and prosper only in a world of shared humane values.
Okay. So my closing argument is that the religious voice in the public square, whether in public debate or in legislatures across our nation, has as much right to free speech as any other voice. In fact, the right to practice religion is established in the first words of the Constitution, which is the most fundamental and central law of our land. The right to free exercise of religion arguably overrides other rights due to its placement in the First Amendment, along with freedom of speech and freedom of press. I'd like to close my arguments with a quote by Professor Dinesh D'Souza, and he says, quote, "The attempt to ground respect for equality on a purely secular basis ignores the vital contribution by Christianity to its spread. It is folly to believe that it should survive without the continuing aid of religious belief." Religious belief and the values because of religious principles are motivators for people to help one another, to serve one another, to look for peace in this world, and to value life overall. And if we depend completely on a secular idea of moral values and ignore the contribution of Christianity, then we put our nation in danger of being oppressed again. And religion has just as much right to be heard as any other opinions and belief systems, and we all need to respect one another's belief systems to work together and cooperate in finding what's the best solutions for the problems of our nation. Thank you. All right.
Oh, man.
That was pretty messy. I feel sorry for Sister Meeker having to watch this because it's pretty messy.
Yeah, but I know. I'm like all over. I guess I didn't understand. Like, I know I didn't understand the directions completely with it. Like, I wasn't sure, like, if we're actually doing, like, I guess a debate or if we were just, like, talking about the articles and bringing different things. But then, like, this article, I was like, I don't even know half the time, like, what does this mean or what is this talking about? And I'm like, I don't know if it's because I'm, like, distracted because we're, like, well, I'm here with my parents, and we're helping move to my they inherited my grandpa's house, so they just finished, and so we're like
Wow.
trying to move stuff over, and I'm like, so I'm distracted. I'm like, I don't know if that's why or what, but I was like, and I don't know. I was like, how do you defend this? Like, how do you have no God? I don't know.
I
and
know. You definitely, I think, had the harder of the two. I think that's why she let you and Paige do that one together, because she knew that that was going to be harder. And then she put me as, like, the
yeah,
one person they had to stand up for religion. But yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, good for you for
one
being
wasn't the
diligent.
group meeting that we've had. Sorry.
Oh well.
Yeah. So, was it your turn to do a thing or a?
I think on the directions we don't have to do. I don't think we have to do a summary on the
Oh,
direct.
okay.
I think we just need to post this link, and it's just the debate. I don't think we have to summarize it. It would be really hard to summarize it anyway, you know, just because.
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's,
Um, where
yeah,
in
if you don't have,
California are you?
I'm in Lancaster. Have you ever heard of
Okay.
that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't remember where it's at though. Is it more near San Francisco or?
No, we're not that high. We're between, I guess, LA and Bakersfield.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of east then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like the Antelope Valley. I'm trying to think what else is around.
Are your
There's
parents
just, what?
Are they just moving from? Are they going to stay in the same area, or are they moving away from Lancaster into someplace totally different?
No, so my grandpa, well, it's the same area. It's just like, I don't know, a mile or two away. But my grandpa passed away like 3 years ago, 3 years in February, and so they inherited the house. And
Okay.
so they've been adding on and putting all new electrical in because my grandpa built this house, so it was old. And
Oh
so
wow.
new electrical, and they painted, they put new carpet in. I mean, there's been a lot of work, and so finally we're kind of like moving. It's gonna be like a slow, but we're trying to be able to like live in there by Thanksgiving. So that's like the goal is like, okay, get the beds over and
Right.
the kitchen all set up, but
Yeah.
it's a process.
Wow. That is a huge job.